Introduction. Books have been written about Kenya's European high society in the early settler years. Readers have been beguiled by the stories of wife-swapping hijinks indulged in after dinner. Entertaining memoirs have been written about childhood spent in Kenya. I know of no other book written by a European settler describing the tragicomic lives of the Europeans over the active Mau Mau days that started in 1952 and the years leading up to the Kenyan Independence in 1963. Many were soldier settlers who had immigrated to Kenya to take up parcels of land offered to them by the British government. They accepted the dust, diseases, isolation, the lack of theatres or concerts, the responsibilities for house and garden staff, farm labourers and their families. Some settlers provided free dispensaries and schools on their farms for their employees. There were the livestock diseases, tick and fly-borne mineral deficiency, the wild animals. Leopards loved to kill and eat dogs, lions would kill the cattle, hyenas and jackals, elephants and giraffes who trampled down the fencing, hippos and rhinos, buck and gazelles that ate the pastures and carried ticks and diseases. There were crocodiles and alligators, puff adders and other snakes, vultures, warthogs that carried swine fever. There were the insects, flies, mosquitoes, bees, moths, sugar ants, soldier ants, white ants. There were leeches. There were the veld sores that took months to heal up and left scars for life. Settlers had the problems of barely adequate roads, water supply, power supply, telephone, post, railway, police, law courts. Settlers' cars were functional, rarely washed. What was the point on dust roads? As with the farming community in the UK, a car was used to carry both people and animals. Not only were there hazards of rocks and potholes on the roads, there were also the dangers of collision with the wild animals crossing them. When getting a new car, the first job before driving it was to check how to change the wheels. Kenya was a British colony ruled by the British government through the nominee, the governor, and his civil servants who were also British government employees. The 50,000 Europeans, white people of any nationality, elected their representatives to the Legislative Council, LegCo, where they debated and made their views known to the governor by his civil servants. There were 150,000 Asians, Indians, Pakistanis, Sikhs, Goans and Arabs. Some had traded for many years at the coast. Others had come originally to work on the building of the East African Railways and Harbours railway line from Mombasa into Uganda. Theirs was an uncomfortable position. They had no direct voice in LegCo, nor, on the whole, did they have any right to own land. They were moving into retailing, light manufacturer, mechanical work, the police, hotel management and pharmacies. The 5 million Africans had tribal areas of land, called reserves, kept apart for them to which they alone could hold title. Bado Kidogo has been written at the request of our children and the encouragement of our friends. It covers the period December 1951 to March 1963 and aims to describe our early days in Kenya. I had lived there for over 5 years before I met Jane on the 10th of May 1957, so much of this book is dedicated to those young Kenya friends whose open, sincere friendship I valued and then lost when they were killed 1953 to 1955 in the Mau Mau emergency. They had no interest in military life or in the killings of other human beings. They were called up by the British government to fight for stability in a country that the British government was already planning to quit. As I see it, they died for nothing, and many of those who were not killed were injured in some way, physically or mentally. The British National Servicemen who were posted with their regiments to Kenya suffered similarly. At about the same time that the Inniskillen Fusiliers were receiving the freedom of Nairobi, We heard that one of them, on Leven Island, was being tarred and feathered for his sin of being prepared to fight against black men. It took the British forces an inordinate amount of time to discover how to fight the Mau Mau. This was part due to the fact that the Mau Mau campaign rated so lowly in the military commitments Britain had at the time. Kenya was sent military leaders who had by all accounts failed to perform well in similar terrain elsewhere. In the thought that Bado Kidogo will be read outside the family, some names have been changed. Also, I have omitted memories that might cause embarrassment or pain. I have held to the exact timings of events as far as research can confirm them. Swahili was the lingua franca for all races in Kenya. As with other languages, Swahili has words that have no equivalent in English, and so regular settlers would regularly use Swahili words when talking to one another. And I would be failing to create the atmosphere of those times if I did not show this in the dialogue. So I attach a small relevant Swahili English vocabulary at the end of the book. This is extracted from the Standard Swahili English Dictionary, 1951 reprint. In the everyday vernacular of the European, a Kayuk referred to a member of the Kayuku tribe, a Kamba was a member of the Wakamba tribe, and a Kip was a Kipsigis.